Hello and welcome to FlexMR's webinar on ActivateMR, our latest addition to InsightHub. So today, in today's session, we're going to be talking you through ActivateMR, what it's designed to achieve, and how it goes about doing that for you. There will be a Q&A session at the end, so there's plenty of time to chip in and ask questions as you need to. And as ever, this is all about discussion and what you put into it. So please do take that opportunity. So ActivateMR represents the latest addition to InsightHub. It's delivering on our promise to keep empowering research teams and businesses through curation, collaboration, and activation. And we've chosen those three words carefully with ActivateMR. ActivateMR is designed to enable each of those three parts to your business decision-making process. So I'll start just by introducing how that works and how that helps drive decision-making in your organizations. So the purpose of ActivateMR is to help you drive agile decision-making in the business. And by doing that, to inform more decisions in your businesses and to improve the agility of your decision-making. It connects disparate stakeholders with data and insights quickly and easily. So the four objectives of using ActivateMR are about driving business action through two-way collaboration, empowering more agile and accessible decision-making, and integrating multiple data types and formats and projects into one space. By doing that, we're also encouraging you to reuse information and insight from previous projects and improve the efficiency of your team. So the key improvement here for businesses is to improve decision-making by improving engagement with stakeholders. Too often insight reports sit on desks and too often insight goes unused. By improving and creating a collaboration process with decision makers, we can engage them into what the meaning of that data and insight is and help them create the decision and action that follows it. And by doing that, we are creating a different process to decision making and embedding insight in that process, making it agile, making insight accessible, and by moving it online. ActivateMR allows us to move all of this process away from meeting rooms and into an online space, more appropriate for a hybrid and remote working future. InsightHub has within it many different data types. It has survey data, quant data, it has qualitative text extracts, it has video data, and all of that is important to driving not just influence, but also the impact of insight. And ActivateMR enables all of that to be done quickly and easily, bringing together different data types, qual or quant, from different projects into one easily shareable space. And InsightHub makes that possible anyway, but because ActivateMR sits on top of that whole process, it becomes the top of that. It enables you to drag in different insight data from different projects. So the three stages of activation are curate, collaborate, and activate. The first of those is about curating insight from different data streams, from different data sources, and from different projects. And by doing that, we're bringing together through InsightHub and through ActivateMR, bringing together different types of analysis. Maybe that's video, maybe it's a survey data, maybe it's a table, maybe it's a statistic, maybe it's a chart, bringing all of that into one place. And the key thing here is that a chart on its own, for example, might explain the impact on a business, but it might not actually create action. It might be not until you see another piece of data, maybe a video or an emotional plea from a customer, that we actually create influence in the organization and the organization is convinced to act. So the process of curation is important. That process of curation could be on your own, or the process of curation within InsightHub could be within a team environment, and teams can curate data in different ways in different boards. The second step is to collaborate. By sharing that curated insight around the business and by sharing that online, we can allow people to collaborate in their own space, in their own time, for the convenience. And a hybrid or remote working, that's important. We're less connected than we were before. We're not in the same building necessarily. We're not all in the same reporting place. We're not in the same meeting room. The importance of PowerPoint debriefs is still key, but the ability to get people around a table becomes harder and harder. By enabling quick sharing links to online boards, online spaces, we can create a collaborative space online. That process makes it quicker, makes it easier to connect, and makes it more agile. That's what we mean by talking about agile decision making. So any board can have collaboration. We can share and then we can comment and discuss with teams of people. We still have control over that discussion, where that discussion takes part, how much discussion we want in there. But we can choose to build that into the board and allow people that opportunity to do that, either in real time or asynchronously at different points, whenever's convenient to them. And the third step is to activate that insight. We've got greater engagement in the process by collaborating with them. The next step is to make sure people act. And this is really about the future of ActivateMR as well. It's about making decision makers, taking them on that journey and giving them actions and giving them notifications. At the moment, what we'll see today is a notification system where you can add people, you can set notifications, you can alert people to parts of discussion on the board. And by doing that, we can take the collaboration into a more action-orientated zone, which is the actual activation, the actual decision that comes after the process. So it's important to remember that where ActivateMR sits is in that journey of activation. And that journey of activation consists of 3 steps. Curate your data into insight, collaborate with stakeholders, engaging them in that process, and then collaborating through that and creating actions for people to make decisions off the back of that. So how does ActivateMR sit in the user journey of InsightHub? Those familiar with InsightHub will find this a little bit simpler to understand and follow. But for those that aren't familiar with InsightHub and new to it, I'll just give you an overview of that journey because we'll only be looking at the end point today in today's session. And you really, to get the most out of ActivateMR, you need to understand the rest of InsightHub. So InsightHub already allows us to collect different styles of data in one place. You can run your research through InsightHub on that top left box I'm looking at there. That can be surveys, it can be focus groups, it can be interviews, it could be communities, it could be panels. You can have multiple different data streams in your InsightHub, and you can run all of that on that InsightHub. The second step after you run research is to obviously analyze it. And again, InsightHub creates agile methods of doing that through numbers MR, video MR, for example, cross-tabbing surveys, curating transcripts from video, and curating clips and montages off the back of it. But what do you do with all of that data once you've got it into your InsightHub? All of that different qual and quant data across many different past projects. That's where ActivateMR comes in. It allows us to quickly and easily curate and pick through all of that data from video MR and numbers MR, bringing it into an ActivateMR board. Creating a board and ActivateMR is dead simple and really quick. You just literally pin things in that you want to put onto that board. You drag it around, you resize it, and you make it look how you want it to do. You can still add text and you can still add images on top of that. Once you've curated your board, you can share it within the business across stakeholders. And again, like any online sharing process, that's about creating a link and being able to email that out to people around the business, or put it on intranet, or put it somewhere else. Once you've distributed that link to stakeholders, you can work with them in different ways. Across the top of that diagram, the key bit is that open sharing link is an open sharing link. You don't have to have a login to InsightHub to be able to read a board. So you can share a link to a board to anybody in the organization. So you might send it to the exec team, the board, senior decision makers. You might just share, for example, a data set, a dashboard of data, and allow them to see it. That gives them a real-time dashboard of some work that you're working on. But if you want people to collaborate in that discussion process we talked about before, you go down the bottom link. For that, they'll need a login to InsightHub so we can track who they are. We can send them email notifications, and the system will manage that notification system with those collaborators. So now we're creating a community of decision makers in InsightHub by getting them to log in and getting to collaborate on that board. And that community of decision makers is really quite key to taking your insight strategy forward. The third box down the bottom there is about editors. You can delegate access rights to ActivateMR if you want. It doesn't just have to be you curating boards. You can delegate access to that to other people in your organization. So you might decide that your marketing manager, your brand manager, maybe they have a use case where they need to curate data directly and share it with their team rather than coming to you. So you can delegate that to them. They can become an editor. Likewise, you could create editing rights across a whole team. I have seen insight teams of 5-10 people where maybe they're all disparate, they're not in a room, they've all been working on a project, they've all got an opinion. Well, let's allow the curation process for everybody to be involved so we can all add to the board and change it and edit that board. So we've got editors, we've got collaborators, but you can, as I said at the beginning, you can have open access viewers in an ActivateMR board as well. The critical bit is the ActivateMR board sits in the middle. That's the hub of the insight that you've curated, and it's where your collaborative discussions and active-orientated notifications will all take place. So at this point, you're all wanting to see it. So I'll just shoot out of the slides for a second and shoot over if I can. Just come off that for a minute and come over onto my online demonstration that I've got set up. So I've got a number of different boards that I've pre-built, and these are shared. So I've created the sharing link already, and that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing the viewer, what the viewer would see. This first situation is just a survey dashboard, really, really simple. I've got an ongoing satisfaction survey that I'm running, and I want to share that with people around the business and communicate what's happening in that survey as it builds in real time. It's as simple as that. I've just got 3 key statistics on there that I've shared. I've got no discussion really that I want to have necessarily. So I've just shared it across the business, and you're seeing that viewer, what the viewer would see. As you see, I've got a couple of pie charts, got a bar chart, that's all I'm doing. And as I said, because it's coming from InsightHub, that is real live data. It will update every time somebody completes a survey. It's going to calculate through in real time. The second example that I got is a summary of a report. I've built a video project. We've done lots of interviews worldwide. This is a real project that we did that we're sort of mimicking into ActivateMR. We ran interviews with professionals in many different countries, in England, Germany, Spain, and America. We created an overall summary video montage off the back of that, which is what I've shown at the top. I've just put a key insight in the title there for us. And then I've separated out and created 4 individual video montages, one for each country. These are demos, so they're not real video streams that I've built. And again, in each case, I've just built a key point of each video, the key story point for each video into the title bar. And visually, I've just added some images so people know that we've got an overall output and then we've got an individual output for each country. So it's just another way. It's not rather than a live survey dashboard. Here I've just got a summary report of a video project. My third example brings both together. It's got live survey data, and it's got some updated qualitative reporting, and I've added some insight commentary to it. So what I'm trying to do is, in this example, show maybe how I would update a customer service report on a monthly basis, slightly more bespoke to the first example of just a straightforward survey dashboard. So in this one, it's about a customer service report, something we do continuously, and something we've got some insights we might want to change on a monthly basis. We've got the key statistics and KPIs here that are pertinent to the business, overall satisfaction, and are we resolving queries. We've got key bullet points about the good and the bad of that latest month. And we've got some videos. Really, really key here to put videos next to the quant surveys. The quant data, yeah, great, we're 72% satisfied. But what I've done in the video is just allowed us to hear the voices of that 28% that are dissatisfied. And that's going to help me generate traction around the business, generate discussion around the business, and generate action. What I've also got is a key issue for the business, which I'm shouting out here on the right-hand side. We've got 25% of people where they're not getting a resolution to their query. and I'm really just examining that in the tile next to it, making people realize that the key issue that I've got is in the moving home experience. And that's where I want to focus people's attention. Got some supporting evidence down the bottom of that as well. So you can see across those three different examples how I'm using qual and quant differently, and how I've got different example use cases in action. We mentioned discussion at the beginning. So how do I create collaboration? Well, if I go back to the first one, maybe I do want discussion on the survey dashboard, but I don't want it on, I just want it overall. I want overall discussion on the board. So I've created a discussion bar here. Just show that again. There's a comment section at the top. I can see I've got 4 comments live in here at all. It's the board level overall, and I can click into it and I can see that discussion and read it. I can reply, I can like, I can comment, discuss that as I see fit. On a different example over here, going back to my service report, you'll see I've got that same comment bar for the board, but you'll also see that I've got notifications on 2 of the tiles. So in ActivateMR, I can choose where to have that discussion. I might choose to have no discussion, I might choose to have it at a board level, or I might choose to have it on individual tiles. I choose which tiles I want that discussion. And again, if I pull out that notifications bar, you can see the discussion that I've got going on about the issues, how are we going to solve this, systems guys looking into it, ideas being generated. And again, key point here is this discussion can be real time. It can be real time orientated, or it can be asynchronous. So if I just submit a comment from a different machine, you'll see that come back straight away. So someone's replied to me in real time and I can read that. I've not had to refresh a board. It's there instantly. So I could create that real-time discussion. What I can also do is at people. So I mentioned the notification system. This is the first step of activating that insight. So I can pick users from a drop-down list and I can mention them directly in here. Can you pick up with Paul to take this forward? What's going to happen when I submit that is they're going to get a notification within their InsightHub login. There's a notifications bell every time they log into InsightHub, but they're also going to get an email. So that email is going to alert them to this discussion that's been mentioned. It's going to give them a summary of the comment and give them a link to drag them back to the board so we can continue this discussion and action. And then we've taken the collaboration and moved it into that activation space. So just before I pause for questions and answers, I'm just going to jump back to my slides to wrap up with one final conclusion slides about how to make use of ActivateMR. And then if there are any questions and discussions, I'll gladly take those after that slide. So just this one last slide for me today. It's about ActivateMR use cases. The really interesting things about how we built ActivateMR is its flexibility. On the one hand, as I showed on that first use case, we've built the ability to have a real-time dashboard. So really, really simple and quick to build. We're not trying to get complicated in the look and the feel of it, just really, really simple, quick. I could build an Activate dashboard in probably under five minutes. And then I can share that. So that's a simple use case that I showed. The other one I've showed is that we can summarize key stats and insights from individual and multiple surveys. So I could pull data points from different surveys. So that moves beyond the standard dashboard. I could have 3 or 4 surveys built onto a board. So I can create findings from past surveys or current ones. They don't have to be live. They could be past ones that I'm pulling in there again, hopefully improving the efficiency of the insight we've already collected. The other thing I showed us today was about montages and clips, the videos, the importance of video in influencing stakeholders to take action can't really be underestimated. And that's key for us in ActivateMR, building the different sources of data. And again, the one on the screen there has a combination of the qual and the quant, and it has a combination of that kind of summary reporting. The other one I showed you was breakdown of different multinational or multi-country projects. And again, InsightHub is very good at being able to run different language projects from one space. That could be a multilingual survey run in 5 countries simultaneously, or as I showed today, it could be different qual elements. And again, I can make that difference come out in my boards if I want to. But beyond those rather standard reporting methods, we've also got other unique creative ideas that the team have been coming up with in terms of how you can use it. One, for example, we're keen to use with our clients is an interactive workshop. Actually have a live board where people can create their own board during a workshop, during a day session, maybe, where everyone gets access to video MR and everybody can see the insight. And they go, well, actually, these are the key things that I think is really good. Let me build some clips and some montages onto the board that I think is key. That really could be quite interesting from an immersion sort of process perspective, immersing decision makers in what insight, making them think about what their customers want. The other one was just a debrief follow-up. Often PowerPoint and a debrief session is a key moment at the end of a project. That still might be the case. But what happens when you leave the room in debriefs has always been a difficult issue. Does that report stay on the shelf and not get used? We've had cases where we've had different teams of stakeholders in that session and taking different key points, different insights from it. Often you get the meaning from the debrief session. So after the debrief, one way of using ActivateMR is a follow-up. Send people a tailored board, send a board to the marketing team, a board to the customer services team, and a board to the management, and say, these are the key things that came out of the discussion that are relevant to your team. I've summarized them on this board with the key data points that are important for you. What are you going to do about it now? And again, I can extend that debrief into that collaborative session, asynchronous, beyond the debrief. Another example is an agile board where findings are released and discussed as a project progresses. As an insight team, we encourage that collaboration with our clients when we're running things. And one way of doing that is to share findings as we get them. So maybe that is a survey dashboard, maybe it's video, maybe it's ability to say, well, these are the key clips that we saw last night. That's just a quick update for you. We can discuss it on the board as well if you want to, but rest assured we're going to go to a full debrief maybe in a few weeks' time. But it's another way to create an agile reporting and working relationship. On a full project, you could take a full PowerPoint debrief, try to condense it, and create that into a long form board. We've got a client really testing the boundaries at the moment on that, putting quite a lot of text in there, looking at different formatting options that they might need to do that because they want to translate quite a long board into sections and create more of a story and narrative through it and expect people to read through it. So I think that's still relevant as well. It's still another way. There's a benefit in moving that online to create collaboration. There's a benefit in moving online so people don't have to attend a debrief session all at the same time. And there's also benefit in doing that to archive it, keep it as a usable report in my InsightHub going forward. So that's what we've seen today. ActivateMR as the capstone, the end point to your journey using InsightHub, from research collection to research analysis to research findings. And it's built on the promise of the activation process, really empowering the activation process in your business is about curating, it's about collaborating, and then it's about acting on that insight at the end. And ActivateMR is built to do that, but do it in a quick, agile, and easy way to try and improve the agility of our decision-making in our businesses. I'm just conscious of the time. If there's any questions about it or things you want to see a bit more about today that I've not shown, I've not gone into a full training session of how to build boards, for example, kindly do that today or afterwards. But if there are any questions, please let me know now.
Hi, Paul. I have a few questions just coming from the chat.
Thank you.
So the first one is around editing. So when you're curating your insight board, can you go back to edit it and highlight different points and make changes to sort of use it in more than once?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the key benefits to doing these things online and making it really agile is they're live living reports almost. So yes, they're not, you don't publish it and lose the ability to edit it. Just like the discussion can continue, you could change the editing, you could re-edit it. In fact, some of the boards I've used today, you look at the one on the slide, it looks different to the one that I showed. I've changed just the shape of the tiles, I've stretched it. So again, for that monthly customer service report, that's how I would probably do it. I'd leave those two key statistics, the pie chart and the bar charts, to run live and update live in real time. But I'd probably go in, maybe change some of the commentary slides, maybe add new tiles and re-add this month's video montage. So in that sense, my monthly customer service example is a living report rather than a dashboard or a debrief. It's a living report, which I think is really quite interesting and key. Good question.
That's great. Yeah, it makes it really flexible and usable and able to refer back for the new insights as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a second question around kind of what volume of collaborators does it support, and if it does support a high volume, how can those collaborators be managed?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, we've not put any technical limits on it. I would add it's a relatively new tool that's being used across clients at the moment. So it'd be interesting to know how people want to use it. What's one key thing for us is understanding how people want to use it and get on with it. There's no technical limit. There should be no technical limitations for the way the system works in being able to do that. If it was real time or asynchronous, but maybe there's a practical thing to think about there, which is what makes the practical and most useful discussion. I have got a client that wants to broadcast insight across the whole organization. But for me, if I was doing that, I'd probably close the discussion down maybe and have it as a secondary process and manage the process rather than just open it up to the whole organization. That might be quite difficult to manage. So maybe you could do it as a stage process. Email the report out, don't have comments. And then maybe say we're going to go into comment discussion next week on it, and then open up the discussion board on it the week after, because you could do that, you could change it. Maybe think about who has collaborator rights and who has viewer rights. If you're going to broadcast it, I would probably expect the whole organization wants viewer rights, but maybe it's only the senior management team that have collaborator rights. Again, that would work perfectly well. That would enable you to manage it. The whole of the business wouldn't need to know that certain people had that rights, but they would have viewer rights and they could request access at that point if they wanted to suddenly get involved. So I think there's an interesting question about when it's broadcast and when it's discussion. And I think the question are less technical, it's more about what's practical in your organization and for your use case, really.
Great, brilliant. And then just one final question, which is just around, so all of the data that you're presenting there, where is that actually generated? Is that all from the InsightHub? So
in the examples I've shown today, yes, in the examples I've shown, they're all in this InsightHub analysis libraries, numbers MR and video MR. And certainly that's the quickest, easiest, most agile way of using it. Literally, it's a point and click interface. I point and click on the things that I want to bring in, and it brings it in instantly. It's dead simple. But obviously, there's going to be times maybe when you've got some data in an Excel spreadsheet from somebody else. And again, we've got image tiles in there. We've done that quickly the other day, actually, on a live demonstration. I created a chart in Excel and I clicked it into my board within a couple of minutes, about 30 seconds, and I got a very detailed chart. It looks like it belongs. It's obviously just not really live or real time. That's the benefit of it being in InsightHub. But of course, you can bring other data in if you so wish through the text and the image and the media tile possibilities.
Great. Well, I think that's been an excellent summary, and look forward to talking further with all our clients as we see the new use cases and see its applications.
Brilliant, thank you. One last request if there's any extra questions out there? And if not, obviously, if there is anything that you think about afterwards, then be in touch with your account manager and we can get back to you. So thank you very much for attending today.